guys, welcome back to my channel. This is the second part of turning potions into humans. With this video, I decided to do a little different where instead of drawing like the characters separately, I wanted to do more of them together. And so I won't waste any more of your guys' time. But before that, if you guys haven't seen part 1, I'm gonna link it down in the description and somewhere up in this video so you guys can check that out. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So the two potions that I've decided for the second part of this video are none other than the health potion and the mana potion. I mean, I feel like with health and mana potions, it's kind of like a necessity, I guess, because it's always been like in every video game and every fictional stories or anything of that sort, there would always be like the equivalency of a health potion and a mana potion. And so I was just like, why not? Let's just go ahead and do this. And when I was trying to figure out exactly how I wanted to draw these characters, it got me thinking, like, because whenever you start out in like a video game or in like a fantasy genre, you're always starting with the usual health and mana potion just so that you can have something to get through the day, and then later on you'll figure out that there are other potions that can benefit you more. So when I thought of that, I was like, how about I draw health and mana as siblings? Maybe these siblings are wanting to go on an adventure, like they have their dreams of their own to be like the greatest adventurer in the world, see the new world, see what's out there, and just grab some knowledge and experience to become the best. And so this is basically what I came up with. So health and mana are brothers and sisters who strive themselves to become the greatest swordsman and the greatest mage that ever lived in the world. Pretty basic backstory, I guess. But with health, he went through a lot of physical training, learned how to wield a sword by an experienced mentor. Either it could be his uncle or it could be a mentor from like a facility that does sword training. And then for mana, she either went to an academy for magic, or she had like her own private tutor to teach her how to do magic. But either way, those two had mentors in their life that taught them how to siphon their abilities with a sword and magic. And because they are novice, or like they are new to becoming adventurers, it definitely took a lot of time and effort for these two to finally get to that point where they could go out into the world and just be on their own for their first time. And so I wanted to capture sort of like this youthful excitement where you're kind of like the feeling where you're off to college for the first time and you're no longer under the roof of your parents. So because you're on your own, you can basically do whatever you want, sort of. I mean, just don't go too crazy about it. But anyways, where they basically have their freedom. And so that's what I wanted to capture with health and mana, where all the harsh training and with all the harsh physical training and the complex thinking with magic, they finally are able to go out into the world on their own and experience their very first adventure. I knew that when I wanted to choose health and mana, that they had to be together. Like, it's almost hand in hand, like you need both whenever you have to go out in the world in the video game or in a fictional world, I guess, but mainly in the video game, because like in the beginning it's always gonna be difficult and you're gonna need those potions to help you out, to basically help you stay alive and survive as long as you can. So when I was thinking about how I can create these potions into humans, I kind of think about like really what they do for this one. So with health potions, obviously it's in the name, it heals you physically from dying, and mana just replenishes your magic or your mana, the thing that helps you use magic constantly. And so with health, I knew it was going to be more of the physical profession, hence why I've decided to go more of a swordsman or a warrior. And on top of that, I wanted to also get this as an opportunity to draw a male character, though this one is definitely more of like a young teen or a young kid, so the features of this male character is a bit softer. I know in the future I would like to push myself and draw more men than women because I feel like I need to broaden my drawing expertise, I guess. And as much as I love drawing girls, I feel like at some point I'm gonna have to draw boys, and who knows, I might actually end up liking it. In fact, I actually did draw a male character for the first time, and the final result, I absolutely loved it. It definitely took a lot of time for me to reach to that point because with men anatomy, there's just a lot of muscles, and so I had to basically open up an anatomy book just to see like the muscle diagram and then figure out like, okay, so this is that, this is too thick, this is too big, or too small, too thin. It's just like, it was definitely a different experience than drawing women who have more of a softer, less sharp features. So muscles, I mean, unless I'm trying to draw like a bodybuilder woman, I didn't really have a hard time drawing these softer features of a woman. But I decided to take it like slow, I guess, like baby steps to where I can finally draw a male adult character. I went for more of a child because they still have those softer features, and then once puberty hits, I got muscles, sharper features, and all that. And then obviously with Mana, because Mana is about magic, she was going to be a mage, and so I guess it's kind of like a stereotype, but I always see that in this sort of duo, like the male would usually be more of the like upfront warrior swordsman, like they like to take the lead and be out front, whereas in the back it usually is a mage, and I noticed that it tends to be a woman that does it. And the mage can also either be like a damage dealer or can also be a utility character. And so I think with Mana, what I had in mind is that she was a bit of both. Like, she uses magic to aid her brother during battles with some utility magic, but whenever she has to do damage, she can do just that. So I didn't want her to feel or look helpless, like she needed her brother to be there in certain situations. Like, she can definitely handle herself for sure. And with Heath, it's the same way. I mean, he may not know how to use magic like his sister. He definitely takes advantage of his like physical strength, honestly. and sometimes with physical strength it tends to be a bit better, and I think it also feels a bit more rewarding. I mean, with magic, I mean, you can pretty much do anything with magic and it just makes things easier, but for Heath, it feels so much better to do it himself rather than depending on magic. So the inspiration that I had in mind with this drawing, honestly, it's like a mixture of a lot of things. Obviously, anime had to be the #1 thing, and with the animes that I've watched in the past that has to do with like adventuring parties, can't really think of one on the top of my head, but kind of like Magi, for example, where you have like Aladdin, Alibaba, and Morgiana, like the trio who went on an adventure together. You also have, I think, like, I've never seen this anime yet, I really need to. It's like Freyan, where you have like this silver-haired elf, and then you see like a purple-haired human girl, and then there's also a redhead guy. Again, I've never seen the anime. I've seen like some arts and screenshots of these three, and so that's also another inspiration. But honestly, just any fantasy anime you can think of, that's where I got my inspiration from. And I also wanted to try drawing 2 characters in one canvas. Originally this was going to be kind of like a digital illustrator type of drawing, but I honestly feel like I haven't exactly accomplished that yet, only because I've only drawn the 2 characters. But the one thing I did accomplish is trying to do more of a dynamic pose, so of them running. It was definitely a challenge because I had to look up so many references to get the correct posing for running, because sometimes whenever I try to, I make the legs too long or the arms too long or too short. And then with the way that I drew Mana, especially like when her back is kind of like straightened and tilted and her holding her hat, I try to make sure that the torso isn't too long or too short because it's like bent backwards a little bit, if that makes any sense. But there were a lot of challenges with both of these characters, and I think in the end it definitely paid off, and I'm very satisfied with how this turns out. I definitely need a lot of practice with more dynamic posing, so definitely in the future videos I'll be doing more of that. that, especially if I want to go more of a digital illustrator or illustrative, because like that's what I've always wanted to do a long time ago, but I was too afraid with my capabilities and just like having that low self-esteem to actually do it. In fact, I've actually done 2 digital illustrative in the past. I never really bothered to finish one of them. I finished the other one, but I never posted it on my social media because it was going to be a video idea, but that never really came to fruition, and it is sad, but at least I have that drawing to look back to and be like, I can definitely do more of an illustrative type drawing. And honestly, I remember when I was drawing these drawings, I had a lot of fun despite it being challenging, especially when there's like more than one character in the same canvas. And it's also tough when I have to incorporate backgrounds, because backgrounds are hard for me, especially when there's perspective involved. It just gets very, 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 very difficult. And even though that scares me or that makes me nervous, and a lot of times I just want to step back and just go back to my comfort zone, I knew that at some point I'm going to have to charge this head on, and that's exactly what I'm going to do from now on. Is just trying to push my boundaries, and no matter how hard it is that I just want to give up, I just can't let myself do that, because I know that I have the potential of doing something like these, and I know that I'm decent at drawing characters at least, so I can definitely say that I can do better. Really sorry that I went on like emotional there. I mean, it's just sometimes you just need to give yourself like a pick-me-up, and while recording this, it also helps kind of like relieving my emotions and thoughts out there. It's very therapeutic actually, so this is nice, you know. Though I do get a bit off topic at times, which sorry about that. And that concludes the second part of turning potions into humans. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I did. I really do like how I decided to go with a sibling design rather than like individuals. I mean, technically the first part where I did Poison and Invisible, they're basically sisters, but I decided to just draw them separately. And so I guess that's also another reason why I went with this direction, is because like I did siblings with this one, so why not do the same here? But this time they're just together, and I think it just feels right. But anyways, yeah, so stay tuned for the next video, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye bye!